Welcome to Kevin Deal Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the CP5 monitor from Shimble. I'm pleased to announce the release of my Capture One and Lightroom presets, Metamorphic Portraits, The Sound of Silver, and Rangefinder. These are all available for purchase at my website. Go to kevindealphotography.com or check out a link in the description below. And now, on to today's episode. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Deal Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So, before we get started on today's episode, I would like to make a plea for you to donate to the organization BIG, which is an organization that helps intellectually disabled adults adapt to jobs in the real world. Also, if you love my reviews and you want to see me have access to more gear and help you with your buying decisions when you're buying gear, I do have a super thanks link next to the like and share buttons on all of my videos. Your donations mean a great deal. But on today's episode, we are going to be talking about this little guy right here. It's kind of the same size as my phone because he is actually made for your phone. So if you are a content creator, some of you are professional photographers like me, you're using your really expensive cameras. They always tell you that the best camera that you have is the one in your hand, but sometimes you're actually using the best one, your $5,000 camera or whatever, and you want to just record some behind the scenes or something like that. Or maybe you just need a wireless monitor for your smartphone because you're a phone content creator. Either way, this monitor could work for you. Now, what makes this monitor kind of special? A lot of monitors out there, you have to tether yourself to your phone. So if you have a USB-C or a lightning connector, you end up having to plug the monitor into your phone. The cool thing about this monitor right here is that it's wireless and it utilizes a familiar technology that you're all familiar with. On the Apple platform, it utilizes AirPlay. If you've ever used an Apple TV, you already know how to use AirPlay, or you use any Mac OS devices, whether it be your phone. You can, of course, watch videos from your phone on your television if you have an Apple TV via AirPlay. It's the exact same technology. So the way it works is that you turn this guy on. And once he's turned on, you'll see the Shimble logo come up. And then once the load up screen initializes, you'll see a QR code. So as you can see right here, you have the QR code. You click on it, it's gonna ask you to join a wireless network. And then you hit join. And then when you do that, at least on an Apple iPhone, you'll go over to your AirPlay settings, which are right here, and you'll turn on screen mirroring. Now, if you're on a different system, I don't know how screen mirroring works because I'm on an iPhone, but I'm sure you can refer to your owner's manual or just use Google or YouTube to look up how to mirror. One cool thing about this guy is that when you get the optional case for it, this case actually has two cool rings inside of it, and these rings actually have magnets. So if you have one of the newer phones, you can actually stick your phone to the back of this. So now when you look at the nicer camera, you can see yourself, which is pretty darn cool. So if you're looking at this guy and you're like, oh, this is cool, but everything's kind of working backwards for me when I turn this around, that's not a problem, because what you can do is there's actually a orientation flip. So you can flip the screen horizontally, you can flip the screen vertically, and then that helps your perspective. You can record what's going on in the screen. I personally don't really use that feature, but you can if you want. There's also a brightness control on here, which is really awesome. And the reason why that matters, the brightness control matters, is because you're gonna be out in the sun sometimes with this, and you wanna be able to see the monitor. And so I'm actually going to take this guy out into the bright sunlight, and we're gonna see how bright this screen is, and we'll see how well it works. And then I'm also gonna do a distance test, because they do say that it has a 50-meter limitation on there as far as
how far you can travel with it. But just some other specs about this monitor, it's full HD. And then it also comes with this remote, which is really cool because once you get your rig set up, if you just want to hit record on your iPhone, you can actually use this guy to record. Going back to the screen, if you have it at 100% brightness, it has a battery life of 3.5 hours, which if you're making content on your phone, I don't really think you're going to need something to be on that bright for longer than 3.5 hours, but it has that if you need it. And I think it takes about 1.5 hours to charge, which is pretty awesome. The latency on it is only 40 milliseconds. You don't need it to be super short as far as latency is concerned. You just need to make sure you have your composition all set up and that you look good and that the lighting's right. That's really what the monitor is there to do. So let's test this guy out and let's see how it works out in the field.
So for the brightness test, as you can see right here, it is plenty bright. It's 11 a.m. in this example, which is the brightest part of the day here in Austin, and I can see all the icons clearly.
So here is my setup. It is a Hohem M7, and I am using this little arm right here to put the Shimble on top of, and it is wirelessly transmitting. I set it up the way I showed you earlier, where I use the QR code. Pretty simple. And you may be asking, why would I even bother shooting B-roll on a phone when I have really nice cameras? The excuse is pretty simple. Most people can't tell the difference if you're shooting in the highest codecs on an Apple iPhone on YouTube. So it saves me a lot of time and it saves me a lot of space. All right, not bad. All right, so I'm gonna do a transmission distance test. It says it's rated for 50 meters, so I'm gonna give that a shot. Right now I'm probably at about 10, 20, 30, 40. I'd say this is about 50 meters right here. So, this is my 50 meter test. We'll see what kind of dropouts are happening because I am recording internally inside of the Shimble. And if these things are out of sync, if there's drop frames, we're certainly going to know about it. I'm gonna walk over and we'll take it back to my studio and we'll see what kind of results we get.
All right, so now that I have some time under my belt with the Shimbol CP5, what are my thoughts? My thoughts is that if you need to use your phone to record video, especially of yourself, and you want to use the better camera and you want to have a good wireless solution to monitor your content and have that monitor be bright and easy to set up, this CP5 is for you. It uses a very familiar protocol, AirPlay, or whatever your phone's version of that is, and the majority of you already know how to set that up. The majority of you know how to scan QR codes. The majority of you know how to join a network. The majority of you know how to use Bluetooth. So there's nothing here that's too difficult for any of you to use. In terms of brightness, I thought that the brightness on this screen was perfectly acceptable with the direct sunlight on top of it. The fact that it has 3.5 hours of battery life at full power, I think that is more than adequate for a content creator, and because you probably aren't going to always be using it in the direct sunlight, you're going to get more than 3.5 hours out of this guy anyway. Another pro is that for those of you who are hoping that this thing monitors audio, it does. I'm happy to report there's an 1/8 inch jack on the side, and it utilizes the audio that goes over your mirroring. I like the fact that it uses USB-C. I like the fact that it also has little LED indicators right next to the USB-C port that lets you know if you are charging, if you're low on battery, and all that. I also like the fact that you have tactile buttons on the side in order to turn it on, turn it off. And of course, I love the fact that you can flip your screen. So if everything is backwards, you're going right, and what you're seeing on your monitor is going left, you can actually fix that lateral movement by hitting the button, and it'll flip your screen horizontally, and then you'll be mirroring yourself appropriately, and it won't throw off your lateral movement. So all really good things. I like the fact that it charges in just an hour and a half. I like the fact that this case is magnetized, but not everything on this is awesome. There's a couple things I want to talk to you about that I thought could be improved upon. So while this is a magnetized case, Unfortunately, I don't have a phone that's compatible with it. So this guy, when you stick him on, he falls. So earlier in the episode, when I showed this guy sticking to my case, it was to show all of you who actually have metal iPhones that it can actually do that. You can see below that I did actually stick it to a pole in a parking lot, so it is magnetic, and so this will work with your phone if it's made of metal. Two more quick things I want you to think about if you're considering buying this is that the transmission distance that they boast of 50 meters is greatly exaggerated for practical use. If you need to just like look at your monitor to see where you're at, okay, yes, it could work for up to 50 meters, but you can see in this example I'm playing below, lots of drop frames when I walk more than 20 feet away from the camera. And so for practical use, if you're trying to use this at great distances, I don't think that this is a great monitor for that. And that's a little surprising because Shimble actually makes wireless monitor systems that are robust and excellent, but this utilizes a consumer technology, so they are bound by the limitations of the consumer technology that this uses. This isn't using the robust wireless technology you see in some of their other more expensive models. So if you go to their website and you're browsing, don't think that they're putting that exact same technology into this guy, because they're clearly not, because it was clearly dropping frames. And then the last thing, and it's not necessarily a shot at Shimble, it's a shot at all of these companies that make monitors that mirror what your phone does, because I have an Axoon that's the same way, but the icons on this screen are overlaid on top of the icons on your phone, and they kind of crisscross over each other, and that's not necessarily a great graphical user interface. Sometimes you're like, am I clicking the record button on my monitor, or am I accidentally thinking I'm hitting the record button on my phone, even though I'm not on my phone, I'm on my monitor? So it can be a little bit confusing, and it's something that you're going to have to get used to, and you can get used to it with a little bit of extended use, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. But overall, like I said, if you make content on your phone, you want to use the better camera, and you want to be able to have kind of a selfie mode, assuming you have one of the newer iPhones or some of the newer cameras that are made of metal, then I say this product is probably perfect for you, as long as you don't go at too great of a distance. If you need to go a great distance, if you don't have one of the newer phones, I say you probably want to pass on this. I'm actually about to get the new iPhone 16, so I will actually be able to use this to its fullest potential. And just a reminder that this is the gray color. It does come in several colors, so check that out on their website. That does it for today's episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to pick one of these guys up. If you like what you saw, tell me about it in the comments below. Is there a better monitor that does the exact same thing as this? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you like this channel, I humbly ask you to click the subscribe button below. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.